What's up, deviants? Welcome back to the Naughty Corner. This is Court is in Session, and I have guest host Nate. We are coming to you from the unceded lands of the Wanneroo people, and we are starting off with a Bogans Bin Chickens.
Hooray!
Coming to us from Two Hot Takes. Thank you so much, Morgan, for this gem. Am I the asshole for making a joke about my brother's affair at his wedding?
Ooh.
When I was in elementary school, I was the type of kid who got disrupts class often on their report cards, so I never focused much on school. My district had this system where they would pair high school kids with younger kids to help them in school, and my mum made me do that after I kept getting in trouble. So my tutor was a freshman, Abby. She would come to our house after school and help me with my homework or something. My brother John was the same age as Abby, so they would talk to each other and ended up dating. She stopped tutoring me officially after like a month, but since she was still at our house a lot, I talked to Abby and we grew very close. Fast forward 10 years, Abby and John married, they had a kid together 5 years later. John tells me that he's getting a divorce because he met someone new. It sucked because I liked John and Abby together a lot, but whatever. Then he tells me he had an affair with his new girlfriend. Also sucks. And I told him he shouldn't have hurt Abby like that, but whatever. I also asked Abby how she was doing, and she wasn't doing well. But she told me that she didn't want her to be the reason I had a bad relationship with my brother. However, 2 months before the wedding, Abby calls me and tells me that my brother's girlfriend has been harassing her nonstop. She showed me the text, and his girlfriend was saying some pretty disturbing things about how she's so much better than Abby, taunting Abby for having to share custody of her kid now, etc., just making fun of her and bullying her. I told my brother about this, and he said, would quote, ask his girlfriend. A month later, I asked him if he ever brought it up, and he said he did, but saw nothing wrong with the text, which pissed me off. I confirmed that he saw the same text I saw. Abby apologized for involving me in the whole thing in the first place and encouraged me to still go to the wedding, where my brother asked me to make a speech. The speech went well until I made a joke. The gist of the joke was me turning to his new wife and telling her that if she learned anything from this, she should know that my brother will never let his wife stop him from finding the love of his life. This got my brother and his wife really mad, and they kicked me out shortly after. And my brother has been calling and texting me nonstop, yelling at me.
Worth it. Fuck that guy. No, you're not the asshole. Your brother is the asshole. He fucked around. He found out. I honestly think they didn't go far enough. The fact that they're still your brother means for a fact you haven't gone far enough.
Well, it's like if I'm asked to give a speech at that wedding, I'm immediately going, you don't want me to do that. You do not want me to do that.
I, for starters, wouldn't even be going to the wedding because I am the kind of person that I don't care if you have been my best friend of 30 years. If you've cheated on someone and I know that person, you're out of my life. You could be blood and you are out of my life because I don't fuck around with cheaters.
It's like if you're going to be treating people like that, like I don't have people in my life that think that's okay.
Exactly.
Because I have higher standards than that. But the question was, is he the asshole for making that joke?
No, they didn't go far enough as far as I'm concerned.
No, that is absolutely one fucking sick cunt. But
you're never the asshole if it's funny. You laughed, I'm off the hook.
Yeah. One of the comments here is like, how you get him is how you lose him. And I'm like, what? So I'm going to lose Ben to my cousin's couch?
Possibly. Do they have a nice couch?
Probably.
Because I am a slut for couch naps, as is Ben. He'd come back. You'd just lose him to a nap.
Okay, key comments. You know how vigilantes are technically in the wrong, but we all cheer them on anyway?
Yep.
You're the asshole, but high five. I read the title and thought, really? You're not sure? And then laughed at the joke. So maybe we're all assholes. I think there's a line between the asshole and the shit disturber. They're closely related, but I think they're both their own distinct subspecies.
Correct.
Personal theory is, after a normal individual's many interactions with an asshole, there is some sort of DNA mutation which changes the regular individual into a shit disturber. Thank you for the awards, feeling the love. In addition, I think the mutation becomes a recessive gene.
Yes.
As a shit disturber, I approve this theory. I too am a shit disturber, can confirm, and widely hated by all the right individuals. It's worth it. I come from a family of assholes, and the genetic mutation is strong and real. I am the only shit stirrer / disturber in my family, and I firmly, happily embrace the title. Same. Like, this is why I don't get invited to shit, because if, like, my family are the worst when it comes to, like, rug rushing.
I've met them, I can agree.
Yeah, like, the most hectic shit could go down, and you're still the cunt if you try to bring it up, even if the purpose is to, like, resolve the situation so you can move forward healthily. Like, no, just people will blow up and they'll stop talking to each other. And then at one family event 6 months down the track, they'll just randomly give you ask you if you've tried a specific kind of food that's there, or have you heard from so-and-so, or how is something going? And it is just an unspoken expectation that you respond like that's completely fucking normal, and no one ever discusses it again.
Yeah, you have a
until
family
I
of
bring it
Elsas.
up. My proudest moments online have been when those in power found me so annoying they blocked me. Political figures, actors who do shitty things, wannabe politicians, companies that do definable harm by supporting or perpetuating harmful laws, or who support financially candidates who will propose laws seeking to further oppress others. Every block is a badge of honor. Ain't much, but it's honest work. All assholes? Well, no shit, this is Reddit. Yes, we're assholes.
Yeah.
It's assumed.
It's just whether you're a massively expanded sphincter or just a tight little one.
And whether or not you use those powers for good or evil.
Exactly. See, because I'm the opposite to you. The fact that I'm a shit disturber is why I get invited places. Because I am the person who, when asked to make a speech at something, will stand up and tell the truth.
Reese Nicholson has this bit in their stand-up where they're talking about a social liability, where the only parties they're interested in going to is parties that contain at least one social liability, because shit gets lit. And honestly, that could not be a better description for what we are.
Yeah, we are thirsty bitches. If there is not tea, we are not going.
Yeah, like if you want something brought up so you can see the fallout, but you know none of the bitches you're inviting somewhere are gonna have the balls to do it, we can be rented for a fee. We got you.
If I could make a career out of people giving me their final wishes and sentiments that they really wanted people to know how they feel, and then invite all of their hated people to their funeral so that they can be fake and showing love for me to then mic drop that shit, I would do it. I'm willing to do it.
Every single time there are posts about, this is what I want at my funeral or whatever, like I will tag either Brody or Jody in it. And it is all about, like, throw a punch at my funeral. It's what I would have wanted. And I'm like, okay, that one's going to Jody. When people show up to your funeral, like, you need someone at the door to be like, what are you even doing here? She didn't even like y'all. Like, okay, that one's going to Brody. That's Brody's job. And every single time they come back with, like, yeah, I got you. I will do that.
It's why my family specifically, my dad just passed, my family put me in charge of the slideshow for his wake. They knew I could not be trusted in the actual process of the funeral itself. That said, I did ensure his cremation went off with a bang, considering he was a vapor, so I made sure a fresh vape got put into his casket before he was loaded into the oven.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm dead set. I'm sorry, cemetery, if anything happened, my bad. But no, specifically for the slideshow of his thing, my dad has always said, I don't care what you do, just make it funny. So the music I picked were Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback, Feeling Hot, 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 and other such fiery songs, mixed in with also classics such as Look on the Bright Side of Life. It was great. Everyone was laughing. It made them forget about the darkness of it all.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for our Cyber Bin Chickens segment today. Moving on to a segment we haven't had since like the first or second episode. We're going back from LA all the way back to Australia for some Bogan blow-ups. Now, both of these have since been deleted. But luckily, I always copying and pasting everything when I see it specifically so this doesn't happen.
We are spicy little trash pandas when it comes to the tea. We will dig like raccoons through the garbage.
And you will not be able to get it back off me. Like I
No.
have very little strength in my hands, but when it comes to the things I
We
want to hold
keep
on to, you're not getting it.
receipts.
Yeah. I just withdrew from an interview process after the hiring manager was 20 minutes late without apologizing.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
It was an incredible lack of respect, and the person who did this was the director of people. When I told her I was withdrawing my application, she didn't even apologize. All she did was reply with one word: understood. It's a shame because I know many good people in HR who genuinely want to help, but they're stuck under self-important execs who make it impossible to build a good culture. I've learned to stay away from departments like these after getting burned by them many times before. I immediately went on Glassdoor to leave my review, and to my surprise, I found the comments there confirmed everything I suspected. Just wow. Honestly, the people in power have been in power for far too long. And unfortunately, that means that the people who are in charge of like whole departments within organizations and who are responsible for hiring and firing and stuff, they have not kept abreast of the changes that have been happening in workplace expectations, particularly when it comes to like Gen Z and the up and coming Gen Alpha and like your younger millennials. On the supply and demand side of things, there is such a high level of arrogance in these corporations where it's like, we can do whatever the fuck we want to you. And because of this cost of living crisis, you're just going to cop it.
Yep.
Failing to realize that, particularly in the younger generations, they just have zero tolerance for workplace politics and this shit.
Yeah.
They are refusing flat out to break their backs, devote their entire life, every waking minute to any sort of job because they recognize the important parts of life and exactly what they want from it. They are working for the sake of maintaining the lifestyle that they want, and they will not destroy themselves for it. And companies like this one are learning the hard way with such massive turnover that this kind of shit just isn't tolerated. And it's going to reflect when the staff that they have isn't the best possible from the candidate pool, and it's all because of their own actions.
Yep. I still say we go back to the French model and just set fire to government. Just burn everything.
Well, I feel like that's a pretty common consensus in a lot of places.
Or we do as the Italians do and do it more quietly. Just stop going. Everything just shuts down in Italy. They have the most peaceful protesting right now. It's just people just stop going to work in protest.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay, because I knew the siesta stuff. Like there are places all through South America and in lots of areas of Europe where they have siesta time, where just they will close up in the middle of the day for a couple of hours to take a nap.
Oh no, I'm talking like there will be week-long, month-long periods where the government can't take taxes because no one's working, so there's nothing to tax. So they will just shut down government from the outside by just refusing to do anything. It's amazing.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
Key comment. I went on an interview once where the boss was about half an hour late and her reason was she was having a shower. Turned up with soaking wet hair and spent most of the interview complaining about how the last person in the position stole money from them. I had to remind her if she wanted to know my qualifications. I told her I didn't think it would work out at the end. Never done that in my entire life, but I'd imagine working there would be more of a shit show than the interview. When there was a drought a few years back in Sydney, they were handing out shower hourglasses so folks could know when they had their 4 minutes. Recommended shower duration in drought conditions. I never hit the end, so I became curious. So I timed myself. It turns out I shower for approximately 2.5 minutes. Shampoo, hair, soap, everything washed top to toe, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, fucking flex much, jeez.
Also, fuck off, you missed the perfect pun of shower glasses.
I always knew my showers were short, but I assumed it took me about 10 minutes. I clearly have time blindness. I suppose if you add in drying time, it would be about 5 minutes tops. Have you ever had a shower beer?
Yes. Many. I prefer shower whiskies.
That's a response to this person's comment about how long they're in the shower. Well, my showers are longer because I have shower beers. Though I don't think that would have been the case for that particular boss. as to why they were so late.
But also just take the call from the shower.
Okay, next up on Bogan Blow-Ups. Why do public service workers get such a negative reputation as overpaid bludgers?
Most of them are. It's plain and simple.
Well, immediately due to bureaucracy and a whole heap of admin paperwork, pretty much everything in the Australian public service, because they are governmental organisations. As a teacher, there is so much compliance where pretty much not only do you have to physically do your job, but you've got to track everything you do about your job to prove that it is purposeful and meaningful and is getting the government it's worth the government spending of you doing your role. But that in and of itself creates a significantly higher cost for you to be in your role. And that does make it look like you've got these massive salaries for doing sweet fuck all. And that's because a lot of it is a significant amount of planning and back and forth and discussions with very little actual action in between. So, story. Almost every time APS or public sector work is mentioned, I see comments coming out of the woodwork about how they're all overpaid, they all do nothing, they just sit around in Canberra collecting six-figure salaries and ripping off the taxpayer. Who is this actually about? I've worked in public service for over 10 years, and while there is some truth to that stereotype, there is a clear breakdown. Middle managers and above tend to either have low competence or are outright incompetent with no understanding of what their branch, unit, whatever actually does. Yes, they have high salaries. No, they don't sit around doing nothing. It's more that most of their time is spent in pointless meetings. Non-management salaried roles are typically working their asses off and are under-resourced and underpaid, with some specific exceptions like teams dedicated to people and culture, basically roles in which all you do is send emails and fancy graphics about respecting women and not being racist. For those niche cases, I agree it should probably be a part-time 50k per annum role. Here's the thing though, my 2 dot points above apply to most private sector corporations as much as they do the APS. There's a lot of inefficient bureaucracies, as I mentioned, out there, but that's nothing new. Managers managing managers, all the way down to a team of 8 people who are working 10-hour days routinely and on the verge of a mental breakdown because there are more managers than there are actual workers.
Yeah.
Our people may be confusing public servants with politicians, ministers, department heads, commissioners, because those people are parasites in almost all cases and on pay in the mid-6 figures. And I'm talking the people who get dragged in front of Senate estimates and don't have answers to any questions, take everything on notice, have ego the size of Mars, etc. I could definitely agree with that. Because pretty much when you're looking at your middle managers, they're essentially responsible for managing people, and they either never had the job of the people who are doing the jobs that they are managing now,
Yep.
or the job has changed so much that it's just not the same job as to when they were doing it before they became a manager. And that's where the incompetence comes in, because pretty much all that middle management is, you're not doing any of the work. You're really just a paper pusher of collecting the data of what's going on and what's getting done from the workers and passing it on to upper management and being responsible for whether or not outcomes are being met. And very often, because of that lack of competence, that's the reason why there's so much miscommunication between what upper management actually want and the outcomes that are being delivered by that incredibly undersourced and underpaid team.
But it's also because half of the private sector is also funded with money that should be going to the public sector. Because said politicians who have no idea what they are doing keep pushing for more money to go to the private sector, because that's where their children and their grandchildren and everything is.
I was going to say, dis-a-fucking-gree, they absolutely know what they're doing. It's a choice. It's on purpose.
Oh, I more mean like they have no idea what they're doing running a country most of the time.
Yeah, no. Pretty much once a politician gets in, they will make a point of finding a platform that they think will be the most successful in getting them elected. And then after that, the goal is to not make Australia the best possible country it can be, where the most people are taken care of, where serious human needs gaps are being closed. It's just about keeping their seat.
Yeah, which is why a lot of the Greens lost their seats in the latest election, because for the longest time, the Greens policy, once they are in a Senate role or a local role, is stall the government in doing whatever they're doing. Just act like you are opposing them, because if you were shown to be in opposition to something, you're going to get more votes. And then when you get the tiniest concession, act like you did the worst thing in the world, even though most of the time you've made it worst, such as with the HAF bill.
I disagree, because with the Greens, they're not opposing just for the sake of opposition, though you are absolutely correct when it comes to it's the same as relationships. You don't have a good relationship based on enjoying the same things, it's hating the same things. You get more buy-in when you put out what you're against rather than what you're for. But in this case, when it came to the housing bill, they got because of their pushback, there was millions upon millions more that was added to that commitment.
It was actually going to be a much larger amount, but they stalled it to the point where it became a smaller amount. They could have got much more by allowing it to happen when it happened, because there would have been so much more interest already accrued. By pausing it for 2 years to have the debate over it, it slowed everything down. And what they then did in the meantime as well was houses could have already been built.
They were never going to keep being built, especially if the debate kept happening. Because they were wanting to put up a Housing Australia future fund, and we needed houses now. So instead of locking up 20 million to grow a fund and then only building so many houses per year, they could have simply thrown that 20 million directly into building houses now. And
which is what they were going to do. What the Greens were arguing was...
No, the Housing Australia Future Fund was literally locking it up into a fixed-term investment account and then only building the houses with the dividends.
No, they were going to start building public housing straight away. The Greens were arguing that there wasn't enough going towards, and I agree there wasn't enough for some of it, going towards homelessness, women in crisis, all of that, but the fact that nothing was able to be built at all because of the debate was harming those people that they were claiming to be defending.
That is correct. I do believe that regardless of Greens' intervention the way they did or not, Labor never would have gotten houses built.
Oh, probably not, because they're just as useless as everyone else.
Yeah, but the main thing that I was disagreeing with you on was that's what got the Greens lost their seats.
It's also
absolutely not.
Adam Bandt and Max Chandler-Mazer are completely out of touch with what the Australian public want.
Again, disagree. Like Adam Bandt, it's possibly because, Melbourne seat,
Although he was going to plenty of druggo raves, so that is Melbourne.
That's connecting with the true core of Australian culture. But no, the reason why the Greens lost their seats is because Australia doesn't understand how preferential voting works, and they were so terrified of
the Liberals getting back in.
Yeah.
Voldemort.
Yeah, that they essentially overcorrected and voted Labor thinking that was the only way to keep
Personally, I think
out.
We should be voting more independent and teal.
Yeah, it depends. Because with independents, it's literally just them. Like that is definitely dependent on the independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the time, though, they are still going to be the better option because they haven't been in the system for 30, 40 years, getting ground down into we must stick with party lines and party morals. Therefore, they are more likely to be a radical and shake the tree.
Yeah.
Shock the system and get shit done.
Like Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah.
And he made a point of standing on business of this is what I see, this is what I want, this is what I think the future of New York could look like. And the result of that is that the people followed him because they wanted that. But even the Democrats were trying to tear him down.
Yes.
Because it was too radical for them as well. And it's like, well, when you actually plant a stance, say shit with your whole chest and say what you mean and mean what you say without playing all of that party politics, shit gets done. People get voted in because that is what they want.
And it's what has happened.
Yeah. That's enough for Bogan blow-ups.
I think we just had a Bogan blow-up.
Yeah, but fuck you, Greens all the way.
No.
So, thanks for joining us for this episode of Court is in Session. We'll see you next time in the Naughty Corner.
It's goddamn nicotine after that. My God.